the trade-off analysis is actually a methodology that was utilized, as I mentioned some other time, primarily when it was the one that has been adopted in SDD has a history from the Forest Service. And it was developed by this fellow McDonald when the Forest Service was obligated by law to engage stakeholders in the management of the forest lands. So in a sense, it's not an easy method to apply. It requires a lot of time, and it requires also the capacity of the participants. Like in the Forest Service, the stakeholders were very much invested in the management of those lands. And in some ways, when I observed McDonald operate with it, I was very impressed with the capacity of the group, of the stakeholders, to be knowledgeable about the trade-offs, about the criteria, about how do you evaluate alternatives, which is what the trade-off does. So in essence, in SDD, what we do, what the trade-off, the way it's being used, is after we engage people in generating alternative action plans. So they say there's an action plan A, B, C. So there are three alternatives that have been proposed either by small teams or even by the group as a whole in a more holistic way. So then we engage them, the same group, actually a plenary. The small teams can generate alternatives. The whole group agrees on a set of criteria. And then what happens is the whole group is engaged in evaluating the alternatives using the trade-off analysis method. And the unique feature of that trade-off analysis method, what I should mention, as compared to other methods of evaluating alternatives that exist, there's something like sort of multiple utility theory and different evaluation methods, different methods from decision theory. I used to know them, I don't remember them now. But the unique feature of this trade-off analysis that has been incorporated in the structured democratic dialogue is that it evaluates the alternatives by looking at the differences. It doesn't evaluate, in other words, it calculates for each, takes two alternatives at a time, let's say A, B, A and B, and determines the differences between those two against every criterion. And then in the evaluation, it says, is difference A for criterion X, is difference between alternative A and B vis-a-vis criterion X more important than another difference? And it goes on and on like that. So that's why it's time consuming. It's time consuming because it evaluates two at a time. It evaluates them against the differences in the context of a criterion. So it might take, what the other methods that people are using, they actually evaluate the alternatives against the criteria, not against the difference of the criteria. And it's much faster. That's the answer.